This time on Making IT Easy, we'll be deep diving into smart home tech, looking at extending the time before your phone screen goes blank. Automated phone messages are in the news. We'll search the internet using your phone's camera, chat about website cookies, and our featured app is Spotify.
107.3 HFM thanks everyone for listening to Community Radio. We really value your support. The management of Heritage FM Inc. advises our listeners that the views expressed by announcers are their own and not necessarily the views of the management and members of the association. And you're with Kay and Tony on Making IT Easy on this fabulous day. Thank you very much to James, who just handed over with us in your neighbourhood. We caught the very end of it, as usual. Yes, on our frantic trip down. How are you doing today, Tony?
I'm good, thanks, love. How's everyone out there? Crazy weather. I think it's going to rain in just a little bit.
Yeah, we've got the blinds open today so we can see how the weather's coming in and going out. It's a beautiful little spot here at 107.3, right next to the river and just behind the council grounds. Very nice. So today we have some interesting stuff, as usual. We're asking everyone to grab their smart device and play along with us a little bit. So if you have a smartphone or a smart tablet or device, or if you need your laptop or you want to go and hop next to your PC, maybe take your lunch with you so you can have lunch with us as you're listening to us today, and then you can follow along some of the little tasks we're going to set you and follow up from last fortnight, which I wasn't here for. I was in Singapore, and if you were following along, you would have known that a girlfriend of mine and I were following very intently to the show and making very constructive comments from Singapore to help the boys out.
Just goes to show you the reach of internet streaming radio.
That's right. You might be listening on a radio or in your car or on an old-fashioned wireless, which I have set up at our house, or you might be on heritagefm.net streaming through the internet. Yeah. Shall we go to a song straight away, Toto, and give us a little bit of time for me to continue what I was doing here, because the handover from James was quite fast. So, as you might remember, every week I play a number with the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra. This is an Elvis number. This is still not my favourite one, although it probably comes very close, and also very relevant for me because this is one of the songs you sing, isn't it, Tony?
Oh, yes.
So we're going to go to Fever with Elvis Presley and Michael Bublé.
I love you, never knew how much I care. When you put your arms around me, I get a fever that's so hard to bear. Fever when you kiss me, fever when you hold me tight. Fever in the morning, fever all through the night. Sun lights up the daytime, moon lights up the night. I light up when you call my name. You know I'm gonna treat you right. You give me fever when you kiss me, fever when you hold me tight. Fever in the morning, I fever all through the night. Everybody's got the fever, that is something you all know. Fever isn't such a new thing, fever started long ago. Romeo loved Juliet, Juliet she felt the same. When he put his arms around her, he said, Julie, baby, you're kisses, fever with thy flame. Fever, I'm on fire. Fever, yeah, I burn for soon. Captain Smith and Pocahontas had a very mad affair. When her daddy tried to kill him, she said, Daddy, oh, don't you dare, you give me fever. When his kisses, fever when he holds me tight. Fever, I'm his missus, Daddy, won't you treat him right? Listen to my story. Now you listen to my story. Here's the point that I have made. Cats were born to give chicks fever. Be it Fahrenheit or centigrade, they give you a fever. When we kiss you, fever if you live in fever till you sizzle, but what a lovely way to burn. 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 What a lovely way to burn.
Fever, Fever, Elvis and Michael Bublé. Look, it's fantastic how they can do that with artists that have left us.
Yes.
And they just remix some fantastic stuff. That's one of the things that I like listening to. And there's a particular version that Michael Jackson song Love Never Felt So Good. He originally recorded it yonks ago, and Justin Timberlake was one of his earlier songs when JT was doing his career.
Oh, yeah.
And it really helped, almost on the shirt tails, it was a real entrance into that, and it kind of defined the kind of artist he was going to be. I always look for that kind of stuff. Really enjoy it. Thanks for choosing that, KK.
No worries. Welcome. Great song. Very dramatic. I like starting with a dramatic song to lead up to the dramatic show.
Yeah.
Okay, so recapping each fortnight, as you all know, we give you something to do that's a little bit new, and we recap the stuff that we've done before. So next fortnight, or last fortnight, we were focused on
weather widgets.
That's right,
specifically
the widgets.
Weather widgets.
Yeah. I was checking the weather widget in Singapore while you were checking the weather widgets here.
Yeah.
And what do we ask our listener to do?
So the idea was, once you discovered how wonderful widgets were, and if you remember, or you weren't paying attention or you weren't listening, so widgets are kind of a summary of some of the information that can be found through apps that you have installed in your devices. So the cool thing about having a widget front and centre on your home screen or one of your other screens is you don't have to go into the app in order to find out the information. So typically most devices will have a clock and a weather widget already on the tops or fronts of their screen, that kind of stuff that gives you that kind of just glance at information without having to open the app and go searching for, first of all, find the app and then go into the app to find out what you're looking for. So all of the apps that you have installed on your smart devices, be it phone, tablet, whatever, they will have, not all of them, but most of them will have a widget option for them. And the task for the last time was to go into your widgets and see what widgets were available for the apps that you had installed on your devices.
And now I remember this is exactly where I got off track, was because you showed us the widgets and I went, oh, look at all these widgets. And I was looking at all these and you were talking about weather, and I was like, but there's all this other stuff. And that may have been where I slightly got off track.
Yeah. So just to recap quickly.
Yes.
If you got totally lost last time about how to find widgets, bring your device to the home screen, and that usually requires pressing a button or flicking up on the screen or something so that you have a little button that tells you that you're on the home screen. And the home screen is the one that the main screen you see when you first turn your device on. You want to choose a gap between the little icons. So each of those little icons are apps, and you want to choose a gap and then long press your finger. And by long pressing your finger, one of two things will happen.
Long press the screen with your finger.
Oh, yeah, long press. Oh, yeah, okay.
It could go wrong.
Fair enough. several things could happen there. You could actually hit an icon by accident and open an app, or you could, the app that you're long pressing on might actually have its own little menu of things to further confuse you. But if you pick a gap, so the gap meaning a part of the background, you might have a picture in the background or you might have nothing in the background, pick on that gap and you may get a little pull down menu right where your finger was, and one of those options in that pull down menu is likely to be widgets. Some phones don't have a pull down menu. They address the information across either the top or the bottom of the screen. So you might, by long pressing, you notice the screen changes and down the bottom you'll see a menu, a bar if you like, and one of those options might be widgets. All right. So when you select, however you get there, when you tap or select widgets, what it'll do is bring up usually a search pane at the top. So if you know what widget you're searching for, you can start to type its name, or you just scroll this list of widgets that are available. And as you scroll down, you will hopefully recognise these as the apps that are installed on your device. And if you're interested in, I don't know, your calendar, for example,
ABC News,
you can tap on that to see which widgets are available for that particular app. So ABC News might have 3 or 4 different little pictures, if you like, to show you what it would look like when you put it on your screen. So if you again, there's a couple of different things that can happen with your devices. Sometimes just tapping on one of those widgets, it'll come up and say, do you want to place it on the home screen? And you can say yes. Or sometimes you have to long press that widget and hold it for a little bit, and then eventually your home screen will come back, and then you can drag your finger and drop it wherever you like. Now, if
there's not enough space, how rude.
If there's not enough space, you'll have to find a blank screen or so scroll through your pages until you find room on one of your screens that has enough room for that particular icon. Some phones are a bit more clever and they'll actually move other icons out of the way. But again, the implementation of, I'm talking specifically about Android here, the implementation is very different between the different vendors that are out there. Okay. The Apple space was a little bit kinder. It starts off exactly the same. You long press the background, and then in the top left-hand corner you end up with a little plus sign. And when you click on the little plus sign, it then opens up a whole page of widgets which you can then select and choose what you want to do. Right? And that one is very simple. You tap on the one you like, and a button pops up to say, do you want to add this widget? Right? So very similar between the iPhone and the Android stuff, but as usual, the Apple stuff's a little bit more polished and a little bit easier, a bit more user-friendly. But there's nothing wrong with the implementations that all of them are doing out there. So that was
that was a very brief,
yeah, that was our very brief recap. This time we're going to look at setting a screen timeout on your devices. What does that mean? Sometimes you can be using your phone. Typically, most people are using their mobile phone, and they might just be reading a news article or something, or reading an email or whatever, and part way through that, the screen just goes blank, or goes black, or shuts off, in effect. And you're going, but I haven't finished reading that, you know? So then you have to unlock the screen again, unlock your device, go back to where you were. Hopefully it's clever enough to take you back to where you were. Sometimes it actually closes the app as well. But the idea there is that if you leave your phone unattended for any period of time, then it goes into a safe mode, if you like. It kind of locks the device so that nobody can, snoop or take it or use it or whatever the case may be, especially if you're kind of at a restaurant or you're ducking off somewhere and you're leaving your phone on the table, that kind of thing. Not a lot of people do that, but it's a good thing to have. But I think the defaults vary significantly from like 15 seconds to like 30 minutes. So if your default is very low, like 1 minute, that could be annoying, especially if you're reading a long document, for example, and you're not touching the screen every now and again just to let it know that you're still there, Yep. So it will turn itself off. So what I thought we might do is go through those processes.
Yes.
But should we take a song break?
I was just going to say the same thing. Yeah, I've got this feeling that people are now recognising that this is a useful thing, and they're scrambling to try and find their mobile phone, which is hidden in a drawer somewhere because they're not using it. So, yes, let's go to a break and a song and then come back and you can fill us in on how to do that.
Awesome. Thanks.
107.3 HFM, the voice of your community, is proudly supported by
Cartridge World, Armidale,
Ausland 181,
Neighbourhood Watch, Armidale,
Become a corporate member and support the voice of your community. Go to the webpage heritagefm.org for email details or to find out more.
Need a plumber? AHM Plumbing and Gas are a locally owned and operated company that will take care of all your plumbing needs, from tap servicing to hot water unit replacement or clearing blocked drains. AHM Plumbing and Gas have 30 plus years experience and will get the job done on time at the right price. Follow us on Facebook for monthly discounts and specials. Your local experts. AHM Plumbing and Gas. 0413 191 034. PL 6754 station sponsor.
For rain and wind and fire. The rain is Tess, the fire's Joe, and they call the wind Mariah. Mariah blows the stars around and sends the clouds a-flying. Mariah makes the mountains sound like folks were up there dying. Before I knew Mariah's name and heard her wail and whining, I had a girl and she had me, and the sun was always shining. But then one day I left my girl, I left her far behind me, and now I'm lost, so golden lost, not even God can find me. Here they got a name for rain, for wind and fire only. But when you're lost and all alone, there ain't no word but lonely. And I'm a lost and lonely man, without a star to guide me. Mariah, blow my love to me. I need my girl beside me.
Okay, so Tony wants me to make sure you all know that you're here with Making IT Easy on 107.3 HFM after that song choice.
It's a beautiful song, but it's a Sunday matinee movie kind of thing, right? I'm picturing Lawrence of Arabia and stuff, but yeah, okay, cool.
All right, so we were talking about phones. If you grabbed your phone and brought it back, we're setting your screen timeout to stop that annoying problem with it going black or dark or into lock mode when you're in the middle of trying to read something. So, a difference between Androids and Apple again, I presume, Tony?
There is, absolutely. Androids, everything's kind of done from the settings, as is Apple. Apple have the settings cog, and Android you kind of swipe down to find the settings, or the setting app. Sometimes there's a setting app. Yep. So hopefully you've played at some point in your time with your smart device with settings. So that's where we're going to go. The default method that kind of works for all Android phones is you swipe down from the top of the screen. So stick your finger above the top of the screen and swipe downwards. And
because there is a difference, isn't there, between starting before the phone starts and swiping down,
Absolutely.
and actually swiping from the middle of the phone down?
Again, it depends on the implementation of that the manufacturer has chosen and the version of Android and all sorts of stuff. But yeah, swiping down from the middle can give you a search option like it does with Apple.
And swiping up and right to left, all different things.
All sorts of these things are called gestures, yeah, and these gestures vary depending on the implementation, as I mentioned. So you need to be familiar with the gestures for your particular type of device. And if you want to know what they are and you don't know what they are, Google them. By all means, go into Google and type, the make and model of your phone or your tablet, smart device, whatever, and say gestures, and they'll usually be plenty of information about that kind of stuff. But
nice.
A general overall method that will work on every Android device, swiping down from the top of the screen. So I kind of just rest my finger on the top edge and then swipe down, and then you'll end up with kind of a shortcut menu, and that could be a bunch of little round buttons or oblong buttons with shortcuts to things that are common, like airplane mode, turning the internet on, Bluetooth, do not disturb, auto rotate. We'll talk about that one day too, because I'm sure that annoys everybody. But that gives you that kind of quick shortcut way to get to things rather than having to open settings and go in, right? You may or may not be able to then swipe left and right on that screen to give you more of those little options, right? But what we want to do is find the little settings cog. So swiping down once generally doesn't give it to you. You need to then swipe down a second time, again from the top, and that kind of extends the settings menu to give you a cog. And down, usually in the bottom right-hand corner, there will be a cog which takes you into like the extended settings. Okay. Now your phone will, 99.9% of the time, I'm pretty sure that will happen. You may have an icon on your desktop instead called settings, and I think Samsung do that and a couple of others, but that's an alternative, right? The Android implementation supports the swiping down from the top. Anyway, however you get there, you will find a screen hopefully with a heading called settings. Okay. And as you scroll down settings, what we're actually looking for is display. Now, I'm pretty confident display will be the common word or keyword that they use. Right? Sometimes there was screen, but I think that's older versions of Android. But anything to do with what you're looking at, right? So screen or display. But I would look for display. If you tap on display, you'll then get all of the settings that are pertinent to a display. Things like your brightness level. Perhaps you have things called adaptive brightness. There's a screen lock. There's things like font size, nighttime modes, and all sorts of crazy things. Again, depending on who your manufacturer, your vendor is, they'll perhaps have a different implementation of the things that you can do with your display screen. But what we're looking for is something called screen timeout. All right? It might be called timeout. On my particular phone, it's called screen timeout. And I'm watching you thumbing your way through there and not finding anything.
Well, I got distracted again because there's an anti-flicker mode, so I have trouble keeping on track.
All right. I'm going to follow through with my device. Under display, there is a thing called screen timeout, and underneath it, in smaller font, it actually says to me after 5 minutes of inactivity. So without actually tapping on it, it's telling me that it's already set to 5 minutes. And I would suggest 5 minutes is a really good time.
Okay, so when we actually did display, mine has something that says always on display and lock screen.
Well, you're one of those funny people that like to have your screen on 100% of the time and never time out.
Yes.
Okay. My phone is more intelligent because it doesn't have that as an option. The maximum time is 30 minutes.
Right. Apple
devices have that option as well, where you can have an infinite time, and for some purposes that might be useful if you're a tablet, for example. If you're using a tablet, not if you're a tablet, the tablet might actually have a display purpose, like if you're using it for a slideshow or as a control center for your smart home, which we
reading a recipe,
that kind of stuff. You don't want that to go ever. And it might be plugged into power for continuous use. There are reasons why you would want to. But just as a general device that you're carrying in your pocket or your purse, I would suggest 5 minutes. If you don't use it very much at all, 2 minutes is probably okay, but I think that's borderline. Sometimes it takes you 2 minutes to find what you're looking for. And then by the time you actually get there. So keep in mind that as you tap the screen, as you keep it awake, as you let it know that it's still there, that resets the timer, right? So you could be using it for 40 minutes, but as long as you're touching it every 2 or 5 minutes, depending on what you've got your setting for. So anyway, if you tap on screen timeout, you can select from your list of options, right? I would suggest it's somewhere between 15 seconds and 30 minutes. Perhaps there's an option for never turn the screen off. Disadvantages of never turning the screen off is that if you've got one of those folders for your phone and you wallets for your phone
cover, yeah,
and it closes up, the phone can get hot, right? And you will often forget to press the power button to turn the screen off manually, right? So this is a kind of nice option to have. This is an automatic option from there. The Apple devices have a smart covers. So when you close the cover, it turns the display off automatically. They've got a little magnet built into the side of the or like a reed switch, that's what they're called, built into the iPad, and there's a little magnet on the cover. So when the magnet touches the reed switch, it tells the iPad you're no longer using it, and so it closes down. I don't know of any phones that have that functionality. I think maybe the old iPhone 6 did. But anyway, I digress. Set the screen timeout that you think might be most appropriate for you, and I would suggest 2 to 5 minutes. Right?
And now you know how to do it. You can go back and do it again next time. Go back and
tweak it and see what works best for you. So that was how we did it in Android. With the iPhones and the iPads, you go to the settings cog, right? There's no kind of better way to do it. Everyone's familiar with the settings cog. It's been an Apple thing ever since day dot. So go into the settings cog, and then we want to look for display and brightness. So this hasn't changed names for many iterations. What Apple tend to do when the new version of their operating system comes out, they kind of tweak a few things and they sometimes change the names of the settings. Settings also has a search option, so you could actually search for display or timeout or screen, and it gives you a whole bunch of useful stuff there. But anyway, we're looking for display and brightness. So if you tap on the cog on your Apple device, it opens up the settings screen, and on the left-hand side, if you scroll down, you will see something called display and brightness. And once you tap on that, it gives you this lovely little picture that talks about light and dark, but we'll talk about that in a moment. And then further down, we will have an option for screen timeout. Different variations, and I'm just having a look at mine now to make sure that I'm telling you the
screen
truth.
Timeout and auto lock.
Auto lock is what we're looking for. That's the terminology that Apple uses, and mine is currently set to auto lock in 15 minutes. All right. The reason why I've chosen 15 minutes is because this is a tablet that I'm using. It's not a quick and, like, you pull your phone out, you have a quick look at it, and then you
text or message and put it away.
But I could be reading a magazine or a book, a novel on my larger screen. It takes longer to read the screen. So 15 minutes seems to be a really good time for me, especially if I kind of leave it to one side and I'm using it to refer to while I'm doing something else. Glance up and have a look at it, and it's really annoying when the screen goes blank. As it happens, 15 minutes is the longest time that Apple lets you in this particular implementation on my iPad. So 2, 5, 10, 15, and there's an option for never, right? So, like, never lock the screen, as I mentioned before. But 15 minutes is the sweet spot for me. So, play around with those things and see what tickles your fancy and what works best for you. Next time. We'll do the next time? We'll do the next time. What I would like you to do next time is have a look at the other options that are in settings. All right, so we went into settings under display, and as you said, you got squirreled away by finding something about flashing screens, whatever that was. There are a whole bunch of settings in there that you can play with, but one that I'd like you to play with is light and dark modes. And I'll explain next week what the advantages of using those things are, but very briefly, sometimes the screen is too bright. Okay, and you can adjust the brightness through settings as well, which you probably found when we were scrolling down through the settings, right? And there's a thing called adaptive brightness, which kind of measures the light in the room and tries its best to adjust it so that you can read it. But light and dark mode actually changes the theme of your device. All right, so everything's bright and cheerful, or everything's black with just the text. right? I find and have found since dark mode came out a couple of years ago as an option that I've chosen to have that on my phone all the time.
You don't find that more difficult to read, like white text on black?
No, not at all, because because my eyes have adjusted really quickly to that kind of stuff. What I find is when I look at a bright screen like yours, for example, it's really harsh, and it takes me ages to focus on what's going on, and then very shortly after that, I'm talking 3-5 minutes, I start to get a bit of eye strain because my eyes are struggling with that kind of stuff. The other advantage, of course, of having a darker screen is you're not lighting up as many pixels, which means you're not using as much battery, which means your battery will last longer. Typically, you can get at least 50% more battery life by having dark mode set up versus the light mode. So anyway, play with light mode, dark mode, see what it looks like, see if it tickles your fancy, and next week we will go into a bit more detail.
Sounds great. We're going to go to another slightly cray-cray song.
Okay.
And I'm not even going to announce it. You're welcome to it all.
Do 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 cowbell 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 do do cowbell do do. As I walk through this world, nothing can stop the girl. And you are my girl, and no one can hurt you. Oh no, yes I'm gonna love you. Oh, come on, let me hold you, darling, 'cause I'm the Duke of so yeah. And when I hold you, you are my Duchess of Earl. We'll walk through my dukedom and the paradise we will share. Yes, I'm gonna love you. Oh, nothing can stop me now, 'cause I'm the Duke of so
was Duke of Earl. I'd be surprised if you didn't know it, by Gene Chandler, and I didn't tell you beforehand that They Call the Wind Mariah was Harvey Presnell. Yeah, I didn't do that bit.
The Sunday matinee.
That's right, it was the Sunday matinee song. Look, there's a couple of things going on in the city of Armidale at the moment that I wanted to mention as one of our service announcements. One is that there is the Armidale Hills Open Studios Art Trail happening at the moment. So if you're interested in that, hop onto the website, armidalehillsartstrail.com. Helpful. I know that our friend James is probably right at the moment up at the Waterwheel Gallery with the ladies up there. Julie, yeah, Julie and the ladies probably having a delightful supper, actually. She puts on some really nice food. But there are lots of other artists around art studios, so if you're interested, then check that out. The other thing that I've got here is there is the Perth Hills and Armidale Spring into Armidale. I should have prepped this better first, shouldn't I? Spring into Armidale Festival happening. There's lots of things with that, and that seems to be going through until November, and more details are available at perthhillsarmidale.com.au. So if you're interested in getting out and about with the weather improving, try one of those two options around the Armidale area.
Nice.
We are talking news from the news.
Yes, from the news.
PolyAI. Okay.
What is PolyAI?
So, automated telephone answering systems are usually your first point of contact with dealing with call centres around the world. Thank you for calling ABC. If you're calling to talk about this or that, press 1. If you're calling about this, press 2. If you want to hear these options again, press 3. In my opinion, my query never falls within the options that they provide. I actually liked one just recently. I rang them and they said there's option 1 to do this, option 2 to do this, option 3 do this, option 4 listen to these again. It's like, I don't have any alternative option. Anyway, ranting. This can often take you to another set of options which can be annoying and often not very helpful. And we have an example.
Yes, well, this is it's a bit of tongue-in-cheek, but it's something I found that I thought might give you some idea.
Okay.
I wonder why it has to ring.
Welcome to Automated Phone Services. This call may be recorded because everyone else does. At any time during this recording, you may press the 5 key should you feel so inclined. Press 1 for the money, 2 for the show. Just kidding. Press 1 for Spanish, 2 for French, 3 for Bushman, 4 for a remote dialect in Peru, 5 for English, 6. If you know your party's extension, please wait for your opportunity to dial it. If you'd like to speak with a human, you've called the wrong number.
Okay, that is it's triggering me, I think, a little bit. Okay, so that's not a very good example of our PolyAI. Well, that's not a very good example of artificial intelligent online communication.
Yeah, that's written by programmers. Programmers have a flow chart. Sorry, programmers out there, but you have a flow. This is the flow. We ask these questions.
This is what everyone else does, and this is the expectation.
English should not have been the 6th one on the list there in Australia, for example. But things like that can be tweaked significantly. But tell me about PolyAI.
Okay, so in the news, a company called PolyAI, which has been around since 2017, is changing all this and have developed a suite of technologies that sound perfectly human and are able to understand callers no matter how they speak. The platform is language agnostic, so everyone can be ported to different languages with minimal effort. It all works very well as the AI starts with an opening question, which is usually some version of how can I help you? This enables the caller to say whatever they want in their own words. Throughout the call, the AI measures satisfaction and will hand over to a customer service representative at the first sign of trouble. Currently in 2020, so this is a while back, the AIs can completely deal with between 40 and 90% of all incoming calls while increasing customer satisfaction by up to 40%. That sounds a bit hard to believe, but you have an example here for us.
I do, yep. Have a listen to this.
Okay, let me just make sure I turn our volume up again. Try this.
Cafe Bridge Portsmouth, how can I help you today?
Hi there. Can I book a table for 1:30 this coming Sunday for 4 people?
Let me just have a look at what space we have. Okay. We have a table on the 24th of July at 1:30 p.m. for 4 people. Is that all okay for you?
Yeah, that's great.
Great. Shall I go ahead and book that in for you?
Please do.
Can I have your full name, please?
Yep, my full name is Emily Schaefer.
Can you spell your last name for me?
Sure thing. It's S-C-H-A-E-F-F-E-R, Schaefer.
Can we reach you on this number?
Yes, you can.
Perfect. I'm just waiting to see that go through. And that's done. Is there anything else that you need to let me know? Any allergies or other notes that I should make on your booking?
Yeah, someone in the group is celiac. Can you make a note of that, please?
We cater the dietary requirements, but all our food is prepared in the same kitchen. I'm just making a note on your booking now, but please remind someone from our team when you get here.
Yep, I can do that.
Is there anything else I can help you with?
I think that's everything. Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Well, Tony, that's quite astonishing. If you're telling me that this is actually an AI,
that is a real.
The male voice there is a computer.
Yep, absolutely.
Can you just wait, and I'll just check to see if it's gone through.
Wasn't that just fantastic?
Yeah,
instead of just pausing or not having anything useful to say, they've recorded phrases that work in that kind of space
to fill in the gap.
Yeah. So you wouldn't have guessed that was an AI. Yeah?
No.
Yeah, unless you tried to trick it with doing a raspberry or something stupid like that. that's how they test these things, I'm sure. But
I know we're meant to be looking at the positive side of this, but that's concerning when it comes to people who are trying to hack, hackers and people on the phone. I'm from Telstra. I'm calling to fix your problem.
Yeah.
If they can be that good, that's
well. Who knows?
I had a phone call from the tax department the other day, and she said, "Can I do a identity check on you?" And I said, "Sure. Can I do one on you first?" And she said, "Oh, I guess so. What do you need to know?" And I was like, "Well, tell me something on my file that you wouldn't know otherwise." She looked some stuff up and told me. It's like, clearly she hadn't had that challenge before.
No.
Which is
people in that kind of authoritarian role don't expect to be challenged. But they haven't met my wife yet.
She's going to call me from a private number. She can... Yeah, so, PolyAI.
So the quick question here is, the obvious question is, why isn't Google better?
If you can do this, or maybe Google's about to buy PolyAI.
Well, I tell you what, they should, or they should be in bed together or something, because that was just amazing. And PolyAI have so many examples on their website, and I don't expect it's cheap because it's very focused on the job. So what we were just listening to was a restaurant booking for a particular place, a particular venue, so they chose the right accent to match the demographic in the venue and all that kind of stuff, and they knew the kinds of questions to ask. So everything was pre-prepared. So again, the programmers, hats off to them for working out the flows and how this all should work properly, etc., and then working out all the possible paths. I mean, it won't be 100% accurate, but I tell you what, that was
pretty astonishing.
That was pretty impressive. So Google's got to do so much more than that. We're asking Google what the weather is, what time is it in a certain part of the country. We could be asking, what colour is the latest version of the Porsche. Really, there's so many particular types of random questions. How could they possibly prepare for all of that? PolyAI can focus on just one small facet of that kind of interaction with people. But I tell you what, it'll get better.
Yeah, so why was PolyAI actually in the news? It was just informing us of the latest technology.
Yeah, they've ramped up. They've got a whole bunch more money, basically.
Oh, okay.
Basically, some people have just come out and said, "Here, look, we like your stuff so much. Here's $120 billion. Go do something with it."
Wow.
Something ridiculous like that.
Okay.
But yeah, I just glossed over that because I was so impressed with what PolyAI can do.
The technology and where we're heading. We're going to have a break, and we're going to, after the break, listen to At the Hop by Danny and the Juniors, another bit of a shake-up in our music, and come back for tips and tricks.
Station sponsor Reed's Remotes are a family-owned and run business. They offer a one-stop shop to most remotes and keys, stocking WA's largest range of replacement garage and gate remotes and batteries to fit all makes and models. Replacement keys from spare keys to house keys, flip keys and smart proximity keys. They are fully licensed to cut and program spare car keys. Located east of Cuck, you can find them online or in-store. Head to reedsremotes.com.au. Station sponsor.
MRB 8165.
Chicken at the hop, do the dance sensations that are sweeping the nation at the hop. Let's go to the hop. Let's go to the hop. Oh baby, let's go to the hop. Oh baby, let's go to the hop. Come on, let's go to the hop. Well, you can swing and you can groove and you can really stop the move.
Hope you're enjoying that as much as we were here at the studio. Some of the comments that we've been making already, or some of the tips, you might want to go back and try and find. So I just wanted to let you know that we create show notes at the end of each show. So we're actually working from show notes, and then we add some links and that sort of thing, and we need to stash them somewhere for you to access if you want to. So the show notes usually talk about a brief about what it was that we were discussing. So in that particular case, it gave you a link to the news article and the information that I was reading about that news article. It also sometimes gives you links, so it might give you a link to those 2 little recordings that you have access to. And this is all available through magooit.com.au. So if you go to that website and then click on the show notes or Making IT Easy, it will take you to the show notes. So the show notes will give you a brief about what happened. They will also give you a link to the recording of the show, which is up on YouTube, but it's a little bit tricky to get to. So if you go to that website, magooit.com.au, you'll find the show notes and a link to listening to the show again. So if Tony was going a little bit fast, for example, with those widgets, or like me, you were getting distracted on the other widgets instead of the ones that he was talking about, you can go back and re-listen to that part of the show as often as you want. Okay. Deep diving into...
No, we're tips and tricking.
Tips and tricking.
Don't go too early into the deep dive.
Oh, Google Lens. Oh, this is remarkable.
Yes.
Remarkable.
Yes. So Google is a search engine, yes? We understand that it is a search engine that you access through your browser. It allows you to search the internet. Google has many things, but its primary purpose in life is to provide internet search results.
Right.
Using your browser or using some kind of Google Assistant or something like that to search the internet on your behalf. And remember, browser, Safari,
Firefox.
Yeah, Mozilla Firefox, Microsoft Edge, Google Chrome. There are a few others out there as well, but the browsers are the internet kind of launch pad that you go into on your device, and then you use a search engine to search for things, right? And Google is most popular in that space, right? There is Bing, there is Yahoo, there are others as well, but Google is a search engine. So they've gone one step further, and this has been around for a long time now, but not many people realise that you can search on images. Now, okay, you type in brown dog in the search engine, and you'll get a whole bunch of results related to dogs, hopefully brown ones, and then there is a little tab that goes across the top of your search results where you can select images to look at photos of those kinds of things. If there's a particular image that you like and you want to see more of that particular image, you can then search Google using that image. Okay, and what they've done is taken that functionality and created an app called Google Lens, which allows you to take a photo with your smart device and then from that photo search the internet for things that look like it or are similar to it or are related to it.
So the most recent use that we've had for this is trying to figure out what a plant was. So taking a photo of the plant with Google Lens and then it going back and saying this is however many 100,000 photos that are similar, and all these say that this particular plant is whatever the name of the plant is.
That's right. And you can kind of focus on a leaf, or you can on the flower, or taking different photos at different depths to give Google the best chance of trying to find a match for that if you're talking about plants. But you could find a musical instrument. I was at a friend's place not long ago, and he had this funny looking musical instrument. It was it had a mouthpiece, it had a couple of chambers, so I thought, well, it's kind of a wind instrument of some kind, but then it had a couple of little dilly dangly things on corks almost. So you shook and blew this thing to make some crazy, and I had no idea what it was. Absolutely none. So Google Lens came to the rescue. So literally, I grabbed my phone, I opened the app called Google Lens, and we're going to talk about how to do that in a second, and it zoomed in on this thing, and then I did an internet search, and it came up with what this instrument was. I can't remember what it's called now. It was obviously didn't enchant me so much.
I'm disappointed now.
But it also took me to YouTube links of people playing the instrument.
Wow. Yeah.
Crazy how Google is just so wrapped up in everything and how you can use that. So, Google Lens, if you haven't played with it before, it's a really cool little thing to play with. And if you're an Android user, you go to the Google Play Store. Now, you may remember, you may already be fantastic at doing this kind of stuff, but remember there is an icon somewhere on your device called the Play Store, which is kind of a little triangle, which takes you to the Google Play Store, and then you can search for Lens. Now, you may already have Google Lens installed, in which case you can search your app tray. Now, remember, you may remember, I talked about your apps that are on your home screen. You can kind of scroll through the screens to find the apps that you have already placed on your device, but you may not have it placed on your device. It might be installed but not visible. So you bring up your app tray. Now, your app tray, usually you swipe up from the middle of the screen. Sometimes you swipe up from the bottom of the screen. Usually that's the method for getting your list of all of the apps that are on your phone, and they're alphabetically sorted, or you can search. So look for something called Lens. If it's there, open it up. If not, jump on to the Google Play Store, so you'll be able to find an icon for the Play Store in that same list, and then download and install Google Lens,
which would be free.
Yes, it's just an add-on for the Google space. If you have a iPhone or an iPad, from what I've found, they don't actually have a Google Lens app on the Apple Store. What you need to install is an app called Google. Right? It's actually called Google, which is really interesting. If you search for Lens on your Apple devices, it will actually come up and show you the app, the Google app. And when you install the Google app, it gives you access to everything Google, including the camera and the lens part of it.
Right, I see.
So, you know how I mentioned earlier on that you could press on a photo and then it would use that photo? Well, it's that same kind of technology that's built into this particular Google app. So, what I think we should do is, why not go out and see if you can find the Google Lens app from the Android store. Okay, look for Lens. At the Android Play Store, the Google Play Store, and on your iPhone or iPad devices, look for Google. Okay, and if you search the App Store for Lens, it will come up and suggest Google as the app that you need to install. So have a go at installing those two things. We'll have a song break, and then maybe we'll come back and talk about how they work. If you're a PC user, all you need to do is open up your Google Chrome browser. Right? We talked about internet browsers. Well,
you said it.
Was talking to me. Open up your Google Chrome browser into the search page, and then we'll be able to do Google Lens searching from there. So if you've got a Windows PC, we can do that as well. So if you can set up those three environments, whichever one is pertinent to you, and then we can zip on through that. So you have a couple of minutes to get ready.
In the meantime, we'll go to Frank Sinatra.
I stand in line until you think you have the time to spend an evening with me. And if we go someplace to dance, I know that there's a chance you won't be leaving with me. Then afterwards we drop into a quiet little place and have a drink or two. And then I go and spoil it all by saying something stupid like I love you. I can see it in your eyes that you despise the same old lies you heard the night before. And though it's just a line to you, for me it's true and never seemed so right before. Practice every day to find some clever lines to say to make the meaning come true. But then I think I'll wait until the evening gets late and I'm alone with you. The time is right, your perfume fills my head, the stars get red and oh the night's so blue. And then I go and spoil it all by saying something stupid like I love you. time is right, your perfume fills my head, the stars get red and oh, the night's so blue. And then I go and spoil it all by saying something stupid like I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you.
Well, we got distracted there a little bit looking at this song. Apparently the song was actually by Nancy Sinatra and obviously sung with Frank. There you go. I should have put that on the notes. A quick CS community service announcement. Chai Time Women's Connect. This multicultural morning tea invites newly arrived migrant, refugee and or asylum seeker women, offering community health education and learning opportunities to enhance well-being, foster creativity and increase sense of purpose within the community. This may or may not relate to you, but you might know somebody who you can pass this information on to. This event takes place Friday the 23rd of September from 10 a.m. and 12 noon at the Hillview Intercultural Community Centre, 1 to 3 Hillview Terrace in Bentley. Cost is free. Registration by phone call or text Kristen at the Reed Collective on 0406 233 102 or head to canning.wa.gov.au for further information. And that reminds me, if you wish to text us today, you can call or text us on 041 3389 581 and give us whichever compliments you'd like to share.
Yes. All constructive comments are always welcome. Slow down. What did you just say?
If you've got any
That's
particular questions.
It wasn't 130 billion, it was 130 million. Things like that.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we welcome your contribution to the show.
We're on Tips and Tricks and we're talking about Google Lens, searching what you see.
At 107.3 HFM, the voice of your community.
I'm pretty sure they know that.
Okay, just meant to tell them again.
Just in case you're not sure what you're listening to, Making IT Easy on 107.3.
There you go. Now, so Google Lens, presumably everyone has rushed off, grabbed their phones, have had a bit of a play. Tell us how you actually do it.
With the Androids, so Android phones, whatever they may be, Samsung, Motorola, etc., you open the Lens app. So many to choose from. Open the Google Lens app. So it's called Lens.
Yep.
Okay, and it should be in your system tray or your app tray, sorry. Or if you've just installed it, it might just magically appear on your desktop. Once you open the Lens app, generally it'll give you a page full of stuff. At the very, very top, there'll be usually a search with your camera option. And then beneath that, it'll be photos that are in your photo album, perhaps screenshots that you've just taken, because it thinks that you might want to search on those. So you can actually click on one of those pictures, and that automatically will send that off to Google to search for it. Or you can search with your camera. So by tapping on the camera on my device, it then brings up very similar to your normal camera, but there's a smaller kind of viewfinder because it's designed more to look for specific objects and things. So then you would just point that around the room and look for something that is of interest. I don't know, I've got a pen sitting in front of me here, so I'm just going to do that. Click on the shutter.
I did the radio desk.
You did the radio desk. Okay, and it then gives you a crop marks, so you can adjust the size of the image. So that's really useful if you've got a plant or a leaf or something like that you want to make sure you capture enough of it for it to be useful. And then you don't have to do anything else. Just scrolling up from the bottom, it'll give you these visual matches. And remarkably, I've got a pen with a logo on it, and it's brought up other pens with exactly that same logo. And it's also given me other pens with different logos. But funny enough that the top match was that exact item, which is kind of amazing. So you can imagine the fun you could have with this.
Have you been through the options here, the settings?
Tell me about them.
Well, down the bottom, Google Translate, which we've used before. So if you are in Italy and you want to know what the food is, you can actually click that and it will change it to English on your phone so that you can read it.
Yep.
So go around and play with that. We're not going to go over that tonight. This is my favourite, homework. And it says, take a photo of your homework question. Oh my goodness!
Yeah, I guess there are a lot of. You
do that with an algebraic equation or something, and just get the answer.
Yeah, because they have presumably this vast pool of common questions.
Oh, no.
Examples from exercise books.
To reconsider if I think kids should have phones in schools, and take a photo of products or barcodes under the shopping. So I didn't even realise there were so many other options there for the Google Lens.
So all they've really done is these things you can search for normally anyway. Yeah, but they've just added it to the Google Lens app
So you
because
can
it
take a
uses the
photo.
camera.
Yeah.
So when you're in a Chinese restaurant and you don't understand what that says, you can hover your phone over the top and it automatically does an online translation to whatever language you choose, to English.
Speaking of the Chinese restaurant, there was an option there for dining, so you can actually take a photo of the dish. So I presume that would actually tell you what the dish is that you're just about to eat.
Yeah, yeah.
Can we have listeners actually do that when they go to the restaurant next and message us and tell us how it went?
There's also a select restaurant option in there as well, which I haven't really gone into. But you could look at dining, select a restaurant using Google, because it then hooks into Google Maps, and then it might bring up the menu for that restaurant. You know,
and then, and then take us there, and and then pay. You could pay through Google as well.
You can do everything. Don't be scared. It's all right. Slowly, they're introducing all of these wonderful things until they take over the world. And we'll just, this is great. We want it. Let's do it. Why can't you do this already?
What could possibly go wrong? I think we have time for another song. What are we coming back with?
Oh, we're going into our deep dive next. I did cursorily mention that the Apple implementation of Google Lens was slightly different.
Oh, yes.
So I probably should just brush on that. When you open the Google app on your iPhone or your iDevice, what it looks like is the Google search bar. So you've got your Google, you kind of got your Google search bar where you would normally type things, and then underneath it's your normal Google Newsy kind of things. But in that search bar on the right-hand side, there's a microphone and a camera.
Yes.
Okay, microphone obviously is pretty straightforward. You tap on it and say things, and it will actually convert your voice to text to do those searches. Or if you click on the camera, it will bring up the implementation, if you like, of Google Lens.
Which looked exactly the same as what was on my phone.
It looks exactly the same as the...
even has the homework option.
Yeah, that's right. And you've got the search with your camera option, so you can use that, tap on that, take a photo, and away you go.
Yeah.
Right. But Google is embedded into anything searchy. So if you're in the Google Chrome space on the internet searching for something, you can pretty much long press on any... So I say long press because we're using smart devices, but you could right-click with a mouse on a computer, for example, on a picture, and then there's an option that says search with Google Lens.
Right.
It's across anything that's on the internet as long as you're using the Google search engine.
Yeah.
Which is pretty amazing.
And just for those people who are asking the question, yes, you can use photos of people and Google search them.
Yep.
In fact, in my spare time when I do some property management, that's exactly what I do. Take somebody's photo and actually do a Google search to find out who they are, if they are who they think they are. And sometimes it comes up with enough information for me to decline their application.
If you're using a Windows PC... Right, we talked about installing the Lens app and the Google app and all that kind of stuff. You can go in your web browser to images.google.com, all right, and that will open up that same page.
Right.
Right, so you type it in images.google.com onto your internet.
So you can't take the photo. That way you need to find a photo that's already on your computer.
That's
in
right.
order to do that.
Yes.
Google Lens search.
That's right. And of course you could take the photo on your other devices and then it would share it across to you. It really gets all...
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
They try to be everything to everyone. So it's pretty cool. Have a play with Google Lens if you haven't already done so.
It's exciting.
Okay.
Song, yes.
Yes, song.
Dean Martin, Memories Are Made of This.
Oh, cool.
Oh, great song.
Sweet, sweet memories you gave me. You can't beat the memories you gave me.
Take one fresh and tender kiss.
The memories you gave me.
At one stolen night of bliss.
You can't beat the memories you gave me.
One girl, one boy. Some grief, some joy, memories are made of this.
The memories you gave me.
Don't forget a small moonbeam.
You can't beat the memories you gave me.
Fold in lightly with a dream.
You can't beat the memories you gave me.
Your lips and mine. 2 sips of wine. Memories are made of this.
memories you gave me. Then add the wedding bells, the one house where lovers dwell, 3 little kids for the flavor. Stir carefully through the days, see how the flavor stays. These are the dreams you will savor with sweet, sweet His blessings from above. You can't beat the memories you gave me. Serve it generously with love. You can't beat the memories you gave me. One man, one wife, one love, through life, memories are made of this. You can't beat the memories you gave me. Memories are made of this.
107.3 HFM, the voice of your community, with Tony and Kay on making IT easy. I know it doesn't feel easy, but hopefully you're getting some tips and tricks that make it a little bit easier to access your technology than if you were just trying to do it on your own.
Yeah. Dean helps to make it easy too. God, I love his voice.
It's
just so fantastic.
I don't know if my folks are listening in tonight, but I remember that song at a live show of the Flying Pickets, who were an a cappella political band at the Melbourne Hotel back when I was knee-high to a grasshopper. Yeah, years and years ago. Great song.
Yeah. I'm trying to picture you knee-high to a grasshopper.
You know, well, young enough that I wasn't drinking in the pub, that's for sure. Smart home technology. Now, I know that when you gave me a bit of a debrief on this, we're actually going to go towards the end about talking about some of the technology we use in our own home and how we use it. Again, if my folks are listening in, we've been able to introduce a Google device into their home, haven't we?
Yes.
And Mum is able to ask Google to play Elvis at any time she wants of the night or day, which is really helpful.
Dad's really enjoying that too, isn't he? Yeah.
But it also leads on to being able to ask what the time is and what the date is and what the weather's going to be and all these other things. But this is not the only part of smart home technology you're talking about today.
No. Like the smart home stuff's been around for years, right? We're really starting to make some useful decisions about how we're incorporating that kind of stuff in our everyday lives. But the techies have been playing with it since the 80s.
Because the idea of being able to tell a light to go on or be able to remotely turn a light on has been around for a while.
That's right. Yeah. They had these things called, I think they were called X10 modules, which are little things you plugged in PowerPoints to do all those kind of. But we've like most technology, we're learning slowly how to make better use of that.
And you're going to argue that we have smart components in the home already. I mean, TVs are smart, dishwashers, fridges are able now with new technology, ones that we don't have in our house, to order online for you and let you know what you're short of.
Yeah.
So that technology is invading our homes.
Well, is invading the right word? Complementing.
Okay, tomato. So what is a smart home?
What is a smart home? I looked up a whole bunch of definitions, didn't like any of them, so I wrote my own. There are many factors in defining a smart home. But simply put, a smart home can provide you with a number of automated processes to simplify the day-to-day living experience in and around your home.
Nice definition.
Okay. Yep. The key word here being
automate.
Automate, right? There's nothing intelligent about a light that you can tell to turn on and off. The smart part of it is knowing that when you walk in the room that light should go on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's not clever for you to say turn the air conditioner on. It should be clever enough to know that you're coming home in 15 minutes and the temperature in the house is currently 20 degrees and the optimum temperature is 24 degrees. So it should have enough nous and smarts to figure all that stuff out to make your life perfect, or as perfect as it can.
Okay.
Right. So that's the difference between smart devices, if you like, and what I would consider a smart home. The whole encompassing experience.
That is an interesting part of it, because the process of being able to ask for the light to be turned on or ask to turn the air conditioning on for some people is monumental.
Oh, life-changing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I've got a friend who's blind, and for her, being able to tell the air conditioner to go on or off is critical because she can't see the control to actually make those changes herself.
Yeah. And so go one step further, you've got people coming to visit you that are not blind, that are not going to be able to see if it's nighttime, and you don't know because you're blind. So all of these things should factor in that, people are coming over, the light should be turned on.
Yeah. I went to visit a friend of mine who's also blind and had the light on, and I texted him afterwards saying, I forgot to turn the light off. Well, I don't know how long the light will be on otherwise. Yeah. So automating that process, as you say, can make a big difference. And we're also talking about people who are maybe older or more mature who, getting up out of the couch is not as easy as telling Google to go and do something for you.
Yep, absolutely. And there are so many. We're going to talk about the examples that we use, and we're kind of in mid-aged, middle-aged. How would you say? But there are times when I don't want to get up to go and turn the light on or off. Do I remember the days? Can you go and change the TV channel?
Oh wow!
Can you get up and change the channel? Can you even remember doing that?
Okay, we figured out what a smart home is.
So we're leveraging the power of the internet. Okay, that's the key thing here. Everything is kind of connected to something. You've heard the term Internet of Things. Basically, everything smart is addressable. It can be contacted via some method, and usually the internet, because that's kind of the backbone that connects all sorts of things together. So using the power of the internet, we can potentially control electronic devices from anywhere in the world. All right, and we can do regular, repeatable sequences. Right, so every day, every morning at a certain time, we have things going on. At night time, we have routines. I'm going to talk about those in a minute, that we can trigger and do things like that. So having this automated process is fantastic because you set it once and don't worry about it. But then you can put in parameters that if things change, then do this. And then we start to talk about, like we did with the phone automated menus, the programmers work out the scenarios so that we can work out the best way to automate it. And you become a programmer of your own smart home to set up things the way you like it. And it's not as difficult as I'm trying to demystify it a little bit. It's not that difficult. They have lots of little wizards that go through and set these things up for you. So when we talk about the smart component, the smart bit is how it interprets what you need, not just turn it on, turn it off. Look at the circumstances and make a decision, make a smart decision based on that kind of stuff.
Okay. A song?
No. Spring Summer Veggie Plants Workshop for a small space and garden composting. What am I talking about? Join us for an interactive workshop on spring summer veggie planting, and also come along to learn about composting for your garden in this hands-on activity. Don't forget to bring a hat and your gardening gloves. This is an expo. There's no heading. This event takes place on Saturday the 1st of October at 9:30 a.m. until 11 a.m. at the Byford Glades Community Garden in Mead Street in Byford. The cost is free, but you do need to register at sjshire.wa.gov.au to book your spot and to find out further information. So this is Spring Summer Veggie Planting Workshop.
Our Spring Summer Veggie Planting Workshop community service announcement.
Yes, there we go.
Okay. We are, during our deep dive, going to do a bit of a homage.
Homage, yes.
Is that what you call it? To Dame Olivia Newton-John, who sadly passed away last August. She was born on the 26th of September 1948. She passed away 8th of August. She was a British-born Australian singer, actress and activist. So we were actually going to do this last fortnight, but I didn't think it was James's cup of tea necessarily. But she's was an amazing representative of Australia and Australian music. So we're going to start with Let Me Be There, which is one of her early songs. So successful. Tony, tell us a little bit more about smart home technology and in particular virtual assistants.
Yes, well, I guess the thing where we talked about smart homes is being able to tell the lights to turn on and off and things like that. You can program them to do that at certain times during the day, etc. But having a virtual assistant, now we talk about virtual assistants, you can actually speak your voice and speak your mind and get these things happening, get these smart devices to turn on and off and do things that they're supposed to do. So when we talk about virtual assistants, we're talking things like Google Home, Nest, Alexa, Siri, those kinds of things. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So they're the virtual assistants that can assist you with controlling smart devices.
Yeah. Okay.
I've got my Android phone here next to the microphone, and what I'm going to do is use Google to answer some questions. All right. What could possibly go wrong? Small children and animals you're not supposed to do videos with, and I'm pretty sure that
Google,
smart virtual assistants shouldn't be it. But anyway,
well,
I will activate Google. Who are you?
I'm your Google Assistant. How can I help you?
What is a Google Assistant?
According to Wikipedia, Google Assistant is a virtual assistant software application developed by Google that is primarily available on mobile and home automation devices.
What are the alternatives of Google Assistant?
According to Android Authority, the best personal assistant apps for Android: Amazon Alexa, Bixby, Databot, Extreme Personal Voice Assistant, and Google Assistant.
There we go. So what I did then was invoke Google, the voice assistant, and then I used voice to internet search, basically. Yeah.
Yep.
So instead of bringing up the keyboard and typing stuff, I got it to do things. Now, that's really cool. It's an interface. If you have some kind of requirement that you can't type, or something like that, it's fantastic. And if you've got one of these Google Assistant devices, I mean, I was using my phone because it's portable and with me, but you can have these little Google Nest devices, for example, sitting perched up on your bookshelf in your lounge room, one in the kitchen, one in the bedroom, whatever, and they are constantly listening. Yes, they are constantly listening for the buzzword, hey,
yep, G.
Hey G.
Yep.
And they will respond based on the things that you've set up in your device, in your setup for your smart home. It can recognise your voice and do specific things for you as opposed to other people. There's a whole bunch of things like that.
And I must say that I now use it consistently, like continually. If I'm in the car and I'm on hands-free, I will do it. I'm sitting there thinking and I'll say, hey, G, because I'm not going to say it here because it'll activate our devices. How long do you cook a 2 kilo beef roast for?
Yeah.
And he'll come back with an answer, and it's like, oh, that's good to know. So the most bizarre questions, he can almost, or she can almost always find the answer and bring it back to me in a moment. It's quicker for me to ask Google what a calculation is than for me to go and find the calculator to actually do it, or to pull up the calculator on my computer to do it, especially if I'm looking at, interest rates or complicated sums.
Yeah. And you'll get mixed results. I mean, some questions you might phrase in a way that confuses and stuff like that, but it's getting better. And remember, we talked about PolyAI earlier on. It was a very focused set of things, whereas Google is everything to everyone, or tries to be.
Yep.
So there's imagine the programming involved in that. Just
sometimes I think it's my programming that actually needs the development, because if I can actually get the question right, then then Google has no trouble answering it. But I don't always get the question right.
That's right.
As you and I have done repeatedly with over much laughing.
Yes. So think of the virtual assistant as a way of searching the internet using your voice, right? Or you can use that to trigger some kind of automated function,
right?
And that's where the smart home part of it comes in. So you use these voice assistants to control your smart devices, okay? And using some kind of logic as to when and why and how, and then you can add the smart component using routines and stuff. So I talk about smart devices. What's a smart device? We talk about turning lights on or off, okay? Examples of smart devices include lights. Okay, you can get a light globe which costs $14 instead of $2, and it's a smart globe, a smart light globe, right? It responds, it has some smarts in there, it connects to your wireless network at home, and it will talk to or listen to virtual assistants like Google or Siri or Alexa. Okay, sorry. I said the A word, and that's the wake-up word for the Amazon device. So if you've got one of those, I'm sorry. She will be trying to do what I'm saying now. So things like lights, thermostats, so air conditioner thermostats. I don't know how popular it is in Australia, because our weather's a bit weird compared to, in America it's cold a lot. So they have thermostats trying to keep temperature warm. Over here, we're hot a lot, so we've got air conditioners on, and we generally just have them on.
True.
So, but thermostats can control and monitor, and you can use them to figure out when you're coming home, what the optimum times and temperatures are. So you can have smart thermostats. Doorbells, okay, pressing the doorbell, that's fine, but being able to see them with the camera. I was visiting my sister last week, I think it was, a week before, and she was out shopping, and I rung her doorbell, and her doorbell rung her phone and showed a picture of me on the phone, and I had a conversation with her from her doorbell, standing on her front porch.
Wow.
She's saying, I'll be 15 minutes, can you wait? Quite remarkable how you can do those kinds of things.
No, I don't need those Girl Guide cookies.
Yeah, well, obviously the simpler version of that is have a monitor on the inside where you can do that kind of stuff. But being connected to the internet and all that kind of stuff is fantastic too. Door locks is another thing. Some are a bit hesitant about that kind of that. Do you want your door to be opened automatically? But if you've got a business that requires the door to be opened for, if you've got a gate, for example, that needs to be open at 8:30 to let people through at a school, then you can have an automated process set up to do that, and triggered by some kind of smart thing. So voice assistants can control these things. Typically things like lights, turning things on and off, of course, and music is another really popular thing to ask your virtual assistant to do.
Yes.
So what I'd like to do is to talk to you about how to get started and what we do. So you can get some kind of real life examples of what a tech head might actually do. And when it comes to being a tech head, I am way down the list. There are some people that have done some crazy things out there. So
let's have a quick break. And Olivia Newton-John was probably best known for You're the One That I Want from Grease, and her with John Travolta. So we're going to go to that first, a break, and then that song, and then we'll talk.
Okay, we'll talk.
Hey Simon, it's time for another joke.
Oh, here we go.
Want to know why I stopped buying anything with Velcro?
Yeah, why is that?
Because it's a total rip-off.
Nah, that's terrible.
But it's not a joke. The quality service and huge range of automotive parts at Alliance Auto Parts and Mining Supplies.
Alliance Auto Parts and Mining Supplies. Unit 8, 48 Kelvin Road, Maddington. Call 9452 7622. Station sponsor.
You better shape up, 'cause I need a man.
107.3 HFM, making IT easy with Tony and Kay. So how does somebody get started with smart home technology? They've decided it's a good idea, they're convinced, but they want to duck their toes in, whatever that thing is.
Dip
their toes in.
Yes, okay. Look, if you've got a smart device already, if you've got an Android phone, you kind of already have a virtual assistant, so you can start playing around with asking questions and doing things using a voice assistant. It's just you're not going to be able to turn any devices on or off until you go out and buy some devices that you can
turn on and off.
And then the next step is to get yourself a device that stays in your room, wherever it might be, not rather than on your person, and then that can control various things like that. So if you walk into a bricks and mortar store and have a look at the range of smart home stuff that's out there, and I'm talking any of the electrical retailers like JB Hi-Fi, Harvey Norman, The Good Guys, they've got rafts of that kind of stuff.
So how much money are we looking at having to dole out for something like this?
You can pick up a Google Assistant, so one of those little, they call them a Google Nest. It's just a little small buttony kind of thing, or an Alexa, sorry, I said it again, an Echo Dot. They're $50,
really?
$60.
Okay.
Not expensive, and they have specials on these things all the time. So if you think about spending $50 on one of those and then go out buy a $14 light globe,
makes a pretty good gift, actually.
Absolutely,
probably coming up towards Christmas.
And you can muck around with that kind of stuff fairly readily. Right? You need to have an internet connection at home, right? So make sure that you have some kind of connection to the internet. If you don't have broadband, like an NBN connection or some kind of always-on connection, you can use your phone as a hotspot, but it's a bit more painful to set that stuff up.
Right.
So I would look at having an always-on internet system, even if you've got one of those little dongles, one of those little internet dongles that you pay a subscription for a yearly fee. As long as that's on all the time, these devices will be happy because they like to communicate. They're sitting there waiting for you to speak. Right? So if they can't talk to the internet, they can't be ready to do what you speak. And then we get upset when we ask it a question and it takes 3 seconds to answer, or it doesn't understand you properly because it isn't able to always be online. But it's not a lot of money to dabble with this kind of stuff. So walk into a bricks and mortar store and have a look at the options there, and just a simple Google Nest or an Echo Dot in the Alexa range. If you really want to go down the Apple path, the Apple HomeKit is there, but it's much more expensive. So I would suggest trying one of the lesser expensive options just to see if it works for you. Pick up a light globe, maybe a switch, so you can have a switch that you can plug a device in, like a fan or one of those instant coffee machines. We can talk about our fish tank in just a minute. And you can then use them to turn on and off.
And we say walk into a bricks and mortar store, but if you're confident online shopping, they're easily available. Yes,
absolutely. If you're happy to make those decisions, it's just. Some people like to tangibly pick them up, have a play. Maybe the shop assistant can give you some help, but there's so many. They carry so many things. It's really hard to get useful information out of a shop assistant. So what do we have at home, Kay? Do you know?
Ooh, well, yes. I know that we've got the fish tank. So, because we were talking about trying to turn that off tonight.
I ended up, that was one of our first smart things. So we had a Google Home back then, it was called, a Google Home. Oops, sorry. I triggered the Google. But now they're called Google Nests, but they're just a little button device that sits on the shelf, you connect it to the internet. And so I wanted to be able to automate turning the fish tank lights on and off. Just a good thing, like 8 o'clock in the morning, I would like it to turn on, and I would like it to turn off at 10 o'clock at night. As it turns out, we set that up, and then we didn't like it because we were getting up and going to bed at odd times, and it wasn't smart enough to know that we were on our way past to feed the fish. Or this was the time that we're actually going. This is the time we're not going to the toilet. We're actually going to bed. So there was
nothing wrong with the technology. It just didn't suit what we needed.
Didn't suit our purpose,
and we didn't know that yet.
So in the end, we ended up creating voice commands. So I think it was at fish tank lights on. I think I created a command that Google could understand, that whenever we said fish tank lights on, it would trigger the smart device to turn power onto that power point, which is connected to the lights that light up the fish tank. The cool thing about it, there's more. That's cool, but it's even cooler is it's connected to an app on my phone called Google Home, and that's connected to the internet 24/7, which means from Singapore, I can say, hey G, fish tank lights off.
Mm-hmm.
And it will do it, regardless of where we are. So that's a really good way of automating things on demand.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We have other things as well, of course. We've got lights.
Yes.
I think there are 17 smart lights and switch combinations throughout our house.
Mm-hmm.
So when we're sitting down in the lounge room to watch telly and the kitchen light is on and it's kind of an open plan, the kitchen light's annoying, we don't have to get up from our comfy reclined couch to go over and turn the lights. We can just say kitchen light off or lounge light off. We could create a routine that says movie time, and it would turn all of the lights off, bring down the screen projector,
and turn on the stereo, turn on the TV.
There are lots of different things that you can do. But, start small with a simple little thing and a light and play around and see how that kind of changes your life. And it will. It's an interesting way to do it. There are other devices. If you've got older devices, like air conditioners tend to have infrared remote controls. There's a thing called a black bean, an infrared remote blaster. So you can hang that from the ceiling in a particular room that has those devices, and you can use that to control older devices and bring them up to speed with, you can adjust volumes, you can change channels on your TV or inputs on your stereo. Lots of crazy things you can do. And I think that one of the ones that we have that I like the most is in our bedroom, the curtain controller.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was a little bit more expensive. That was about $80.
Mm-hmm.
But literally, it was a pull curtain conversion motor that I mounted on the wall, and then that connected to the smart home devices. So I then set up a routine that at 8:30 in the morning on every day of the week,
Sunday.
or Monday to Friday, it would open the curtain. So if we're still in bed by 8:30 in the morning, get up. And then it would close at 8:30 p.m. so that when we're getting changed after having showers or whatever the case may be, we didn't have to worry about closing the curtains. And then we had a different schedule for the weekends, right?
Yes.
So we were allowed to sleep until 9:30 or 10:30. I can't remember what it was now on Sundays. We never seem to be there when the curtains opening and closing. We're always up earlier and going to bed later.
But you can override that with a voice command as well to ask it to close the curtains or open the curtains.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
These things do come with their complications, which, complications with the technology, because it does take time to get the technology right, and complications with yourself. Like, I don't know how many times I've told it to close the blinds and it doesn't do it. Because the command is to close the curtains, not close the blinds.
Right.
And I use the wrong language.
But I could absolutely have created two routines.
Yes.
With both names so that both work.
Actually, maybe we should do that.
Yeah, well, there's commands for different purposes, and we can say turn the light on for 10 minutes.
Yes.
Or play music for 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to listen to or play jungle music. Jungle's probably not the right word, but it's something to help you sleep with. You can put in meditative music or whatever the case that suits the circumstances.
Yeah.
And when we talk about the things that we do at home, that's just that. We turn lights on and off. We often are setting timers.
Very frequently, yes.
Set a timer for 10 minutes so that we can make sure that this is right or that's right. We have as I mentioned before, routines to turn the fish tank lights on and off, opening and closing the curtains, and music. Play, Justin Timberlake is the first thing that jumps into my head. And that the device will then hook to your accounts that are set up. So if you've got a subscription with Spotify or with YouTube Music or perhaps with Amazon Music, it'll use whatever method you have automatically set up previously, and it will play that particular artist or song or genre or whatever it is that you ask for.
So I have it. You can set up a routine that at 11:55 every fortnight it plays 107.3 HFM on TuneIn Radio.
You absolutely could. Yep. You could absolutely do that. Set it up automatically to do that at a certain day and a certain time and repeat.
Yeah. Wow.
Going one step further, we have a home monitoring system for electricity usage, which I'm yet to fully realise. It's a Wiser, made by Schneider. It's a Wiser home monitoring system. And my mate Phil from Mancini Electrical came around one weekend. And he says, "This new technology, let's play with this stuff." So he set it up together. He's one of my Sparkies, and we went through and put in, I think, 7 of these sensors across our circuitry. So now I can monitor how much electricity usage there is in various sectors of the house. So then with our solar system that we have, we can tweak using smart technology as to what times these things turn on or off, controlling when we're heating our hot water, so that we're doing it during the best time of the day, but still learning that we have our showers at this time of the day, so we need to make sure we have enough hot water, balancing all of those kinds of things. So when I hook some kind of intelligence into that and hook it into our smart home system, I'll be able to work out a way to save money and to get the best use out of the stuff that we have. Right? So there's the world is your oyster. There are so many ways that we can jump on and do things in the smart space. But just getting yourself one of these little devices, one of these little voice assistant guys to start with, and a couple of things. And I would suggest a light globe and a switch that you can it's a PowerPoint basically. It plugs into a PowerPoint and it switches whatever's plugged into that PowerPoint on or off. Yeah, and with those 2 things there, you can get some idea of what you might actually be able to do. And then, of course, on the internet, you can find out all sorts of things what you can do. So good fun. Have a play with smart home technology, and even if you're worried about that kind of stuff, just a simple dipping your toes in the water, and you can just unplug it all. If you don't like it, you just take it away and give it to someone else to play with, and they'll have fun too. All right.
You insisted I put this Olivia song in. This is Jolene.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Making IT easy. Spotify is an amazing app that we use. It took me a long time actually to get on board with Spotify. I knew a lot of other people around me had it. They paid a subscription. I couldn't understand why. I even started using it, the free version, and I thought that'll do the job. But I'd ask a song to play and it would play me something in the genre of what I asked for, not the actual song. And eventually we went actual subscription. So there is a free version, I know. There's also a paid version which we actually subscribe to. Tell us about it, Tony.
Spotify it's an online music streaming platform. Yeah. What was that? They've got I think it's 80 million tracks, something like that.
That's astonishing.
Including podcasts that you have access to for paying a monthly access fee. Okay.
Right.
Now, as you mentioned, there are free plans available, and you can get kind of every so often they give you 30 minutes of uninterrupted listening, that kind of stuff, and then they play a few ads. So if you're happy with that kind of stuff, like commercial radio almost.
I used that for a couple of years.
We all did, and then it became annoying because we wanted to listen to particular artists, and that was where it is. Like you ask for a song, and you might get that song, or you might get something like that song, and then it goes into artists like that. So it can be after a little while, it gets a bit annoying. But look, Spotify, fantastic service, and considering the choice of music and podcasts and things that are available through there, it's really good value for money. Perhaps not such good value for money for the artists, but for us, the consumers, fantastic. You can pretty much listen to anything. You need to have really an app installed. Now, you can on your PC stream it directly from the web page, but there's an app which does it nicer, even in the Windows platform. So for the PC, for Android and for Apple, go to your favourite store, so the Microsoft Store for Windows, the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store, and look for Spotify, and it will install a wonderful feature-rich menu system for you to play with. And I tell you, when I say feature-rich, it's crazy. They've got genres, it listens to the sorts of music that you like, remembers the sorts of music you like, and it creates daily playlists.
It does,
So,
I haven't really played with those.
I think it's about 10 it creates, I think, in total. So the longer you listen, the more it gets in tune with the sorts of music you like. And then, depending on your mood, they give you like 10 different types of genres. So you might be in the jazzy mood, so they suggest you play playlist 3, daily playlist 3, whereas heavier stuff might be 5 or classical might be 6. So over time it learns what you like. The cool features about it, and what we use all the time, is that your virtual assistants have access to them as well. So we can ask Google, Alexa and Siri and other Bixby and other ones that are out there to play a song and specify Spotify, and it will play that artist and that song and or that genre or whatever.
Or that playlist.
Yep. It also has things like songs. So if you particularly like a song, you can tell it you like that song, and it puts it automatically in your like songs list. It gives it a little love heart. One of my other really cool ones is unlike songs. So I've said, never play that song again. And it says, okay, we've noted this for you. So it's been removed from ever being something that I can choose from. I haven't figured out a way to find if I ever want to change my mind and get it back. I'm pretty sure there's something somewhere.
I think there's enough in the rest of those 80,000 songs to...
And you can create custom playlists, right?
Yeah.
So you can like them, and then later you can manually move them across, or you can say, save this to my XYZ playlist. And there are things like that you can do. There's things like radio mode. So if you like listening to, and I keep touting Justin Timberlake, if I like Justin Timberlake and other artists like him, then I can go into what's called radio mode after listening to one of his songs, and it will pick similar artists in that same kind of genre and bundle together this never-ending, basically, playlist of stuff based on the radio of the artist that you chose.
Which is really awesome if you're having an event or a dinner or a party or something like that. You know, people come over and suddenly it's like, oh, we need some background music. How are we going to do that? And I know that at our house, people have just come in, they've put their Spotify connection on, asked for a song, and then continued on radio mode. And it just goes all night with music in that genre.
Yeah, that kind of lends into
great.
The sharing songs, and sharing songs with friends is another thing you can do as well.
Yes.
They've got this thing called blends. So if you and a friend of yours are interested in each other's music, but you don't necessarily save that kind of music, and they don't necessarily save your kind of music, you can create this blend where it kind of just throws everything in a melting pot.
Right.
And you can listen to each other's stuff in a playlist.
Okay, we're back to my folks now. We need some country music and some Elvis and a blend. And
that's right.
Yeah.
You can play around with that kind of stuff. There are global playlists. So when you look through the Spotify playlists that are available, anybody can create one and make it publicly available.
Wow.
All right. So
of course they can.
And then you can just search for a genre or a year or an artist, and it might come up with different playlist options for you, which you can then just subscribe to. And people can play with those whenever they feel like, and then republish them and create subsets of, or copy backwards and forwards, etc. Gapless playback is a really cool option. So if you're having a party and you don't want gaps between the songs, there's a crossfade feature that the last 10 seconds of the song, it kind of fades down and the other one fades up or starts quickly.
Wow.
So you can have just continuous stuff if you're having parties.
Goodness.
You mentioned people hooking into our Spotify. They also have this thing called party mixers. So when you walk into somebody's house that's already playing Spotify, now the new app recognises as soon as you join their Wi-Fi that you're in that space. So then it says, do you want to join the party? Yes, and then you can start adding songs to the playlist that's already playing. So you can have 10 people come over, and everybody has access to put their own kind of music. Of course, you can lock that out if you don't want to.
I thought you were going to say it was going to happen automatically, and it's like they don't want my songs on their playlist.
But you can actively go in there and say, I want to put this song on that playlist, or I want to
It's like a jukebox, like a party jukebox from your own phone.
From your pocket or wherever.
Wow.
The case. And the last thing that's really cool, there's more than just the last thing, but these are the things that have stood out to me, is offline mode. So if you're going to jump on a plane, or you're down south and you don't have internet coverage or whatever the case, for that circumstance, before you go, you can say, I like this song, this song, this song, or this playlist or whatever, and save them as offline, so they then get stored to your device.
Right.
And then you can use them without an internet connection whenever you feel like, which is a really cool thing. What does it cost? We talked about...
Can I just... One more feature first, and that's that it also has podcasts.
Yes. I brushed on that. That's right. Yeah. Spotify has more than just music. It also has podcasts and other things as well.
Yep.
So just use the very rich searching option that they have up there to type in what you're looking for, and away you go.
Yep. Okay. Back to how much it costs.
Fees, yeah. So the ad-supported free version doesn't cost you anything to play with, and it's worth having a go. Right? Really, really have a look at
definitely,
to see how it suits you. If you're a single user, I think it's around about $12 a month. Now, $12 a month, when you think about what you're spending money on in the world, with regards to streaming services and that kind of stuff, you can get Netflix for that. The basic Netflix plan now, the ad-supported ones, I think it's around about that price.
Yep.
But music it's huge. It's the foundation of life. It really is. You have to have music in your life.
Yep.
And anyway, so $12 gets you into it. If you're a couple, $16, so that gives you 2 accounts. You can share an account. You don't actually have to have individual users, but that limits to the number of devices that you're using. So if you've got it playing on your phone and then your partner starts playing on their phone, it'll stop playing on yours.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I'm sorry, this has stopped because it's been playing on another device. And we get that all the time, and we've got a family account, which is the next one I'm talking about. So $12 for single, $16 for duo, and $18 or $19 is a family account. And that gives you up to 6 people in the same general location. So it works on the fact that you kind of live together.
Mm-hmm.
Right. If you're living in 2 separate residences, then over time it will learn that that's the case, and they will say you don't count as a family anymore, and you have to pay your own thing. But as long as you kind of share the house,
yep,
that all works well. And students get a really discounted rate of $6. So it's a really cool option. I think Spotify is something you should play with if you haven't. There are other streaming services. Google Music, which was replaced by YouTube Music, which is very similar. They don't have quite as much range of songs, but they're getting there. So there is benefits in all of those kinds of things, but have a play with the free version of Spotify. It's free forever.
And just mention that this is a supplement to your listening to 107.3, not a replacement.
Yes, that's right.
This is for parties and that sort of thing. Quick song, and then we're going to come back for a quick goodbye before we go bye.
Thanks.
Dragging her feet, I wait alone in the heat. I know
And that's it for Olivia, and that's it for us for today. Next time on Making IT Easy, which is in 2 weeks' time, we're going to be doing a deep dive.
Yes, into mobile phones.
Yes, into mobile phones. The app of the day is going to be Google Keep, which we were going to do this week, but we've postponed. If you have a listener question, then let us know through our Facebook page, through the website, through magooit.com.au, which is where you can find your show notes. And in time, you'll have access to the YouTube download of this particular show, so you can listen to it again. Don't forget, next Tuesday night from 7 till 9, the Magnificent Seven are going to be interviewing Robbie Burns with Ron Arthurs and Andrew Pheasant. And a reminder that with Magoo IT, in partnership with 107.3 HFM and the Be Connected program, we'll be running a live class in high tea here at the radio station for 12 seniors. It's for online week. It will be on Monday the 17th of October from 9:30 until 11:30am. We will be trying one thing, which will be accessing music through technology. More information is available on the website. Ticket prices are covered by the Be Connected grant funding. We have 12 people able to attend. We already have 4 people, so we only have 8 spaces, and I haven't started advertising yet. So if you're interested in that, then come along and have a look, get to see the radio station, get to meet us, and Tony can give you some amazing information on accessing music through technology.
Sounds fun.
It does. It's good. That's it for us. We're out. As always, we are finishing with a version of Try a Little Kindness. Founded in 2009, the Doane U School is a registered charitable organisation dedicated to making music education accessible to children regardless of their financial circumstances. This is actually a ukulele school. On the 5th of February 2020, they recorded the song with Jan Arden to raise money for their program. It's a delightful version, and I had to move it to this week instead of last fortnight, so I would get instead of James. So we're going out with Try a Little Kindness. Have a wonderful rest of the weekend. Try a little bit of tech, and we look forward to talking with you again in 2 weeks' time.
Take care, everyone.
See you later.